Investigators are back at a Florida nature reserve today searching for Gabby Petito's fiancé. About a week ago, the parents of Brian Laundrie told police their son said he was going to the nearby Carlton Reserve. He hasn't been seen since. While Laundrie has not been charged with a crime, police say the 23-year-old man is a person of interest. The FBI and other agencies want to know what he can tell them about Petito's disappearance and her final days. Her body was found in Wyoming Tuesday, and an autopsy determined her death was a homicide. CBS News national correspondent Jericka Duncan is near the search area in Florida with the latest.
23-year-old returned home to Florida without Petito on September 1st. Laundrie's parents say he left home a week ago. They reported him missing to authorities on Friday. Investigators restarted their search through the 24 acres of land here. It is very swampy. There are alligators, snakes in the reserve, just to give you an idea of what these investigators are dealing with in this search. And back here at the Carlton Reserve, there were rumors overnight that police did have Brian Laundrie in custody, but authorities quickly said that that was not true. Of course, things could change at any moment in cases like this. We will, of course, continue to keep you updated with this developing story. In Venice, Florida, Jericka Duncan, CBS News.
To discuss the whereabouts of Brian Laundrie, I want to bring in Chris Boyer. He has experience in search and rescue operations, law enforcement, and the military. He is also the executive director of the nonprofit National Association for Search and Rescue. Chris, welcome. It's great to have you with us. First off, I want to know why law enforcement sort of lost track of this man at the beginning. He was already a person of interest, so to speak, as soon as he returned without his fiancée. Why were they able to lose track of him so easily, and why has it been so difficult to find him?
Yeah, so the difficulty, it's really hard to find someone that is even looking to be found, that's missing and wants to be found, that's signaling to searchers. But when you have someone that's being deceptive, that may have collaborators working with them, that has the environment and the weather on their side, it makes it very, very difficult for responders to find that person. So there are a lot of factors involved there.
So how likely is it that he actually is at the Carlton Reserve? Because we know his parents weren't always acting in the most cooperative manner with police, and they are the ones telling police that he is there. So number one, do we know whether that's even true? And number two, what are the particular challenges with finding someone in the Carlton Reserve?
Right. So a lot of the challenges in the Carlton Reserve are that it's mostly water. And so trying to get searchers into that area, to the dry spots, to look for him, very difficult. Because most of it's underwater, you don't have the typical footprints or other trail sign that you would have looking for a normal missing person. Not good access for the responders as well. There aren't that many groomed trails or prepared and maintained trails in the area. The weather has made it very hard as well. With rain, visibility is diminished, and rain and weather wash away clues like footprints as well. So those are some of the challenges that they're seeing right now. And as you've seen the drones in the aerial, whenever there's weather in the area, that makes it harder to do any sort of aerial searching with FLIR or thermal imaging.
But to my earlier question, do we have any other evidence that that's where he headed other than his parents telling law enforcement that's where he went? Are there any other clues that would signal that that is indeed where he went?
Well, we look for clues that tell us that he went there, and we look for clues that tell us that he didn't. If there are trail cams in the area that have his picture on them, then we would know that he had gone there. If those trail cams do not have his picture on them and they were functional, then that's a negative clue, which tells us that he's probably not in the area. Not being inside the investigation, I can't say what clues they have that they're acting on right now. But from a typical investigation, they would be looking at his electronic footprint, cell phones, that sort of thing. They would be looking at his social media footprint and probably checking out cameras in the area to see if he was in a vehicle that had approached the trailhead or left the trailhead, or the perimeter of that search area.
And I can imagine, for all the reasons you just described, that the search is so challenging, it would be challenging for someone to hide there as well, correct? I mean, you would have to be a very accomplished outdoorsman to be able to survive for an extended period of time in that sort of environment, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Water is the number one issue. We all know it's hot and muggy in Florida, and staying hydrated while you're on the run is going to be very hard. So he's going to have some sort of a water pump that will filter water. Carrying a backpack, you can put a lot of calories into a backpack. So he might be able to have enough food out there for a week or two. But water is going to be the big issue for him. And then eventually he's going to want to get out of there because time's going to be against him. He'll run out of food. He'll want to know what's going on. He'll try to contact friends or family to figure out if it's safe to come out. I can't imagine that he wants to live in that area the rest of his life.
And so that's probably what investigators are waiting for, if indeed he is in that reserve, that moment when he sort of, like a turtle sticks his head out of the shell, correct?
Correct. Yeah, he's got to stick his head out there somewhere, and they'll either catch him up in his electronic footprint, or they'll catch him up when he contacts one of his friends or goes to an area that he feels that he's safe and comfortable in, or something along those lines.
Now, it has been 8 days since Laundrie was last seen. How does this span of time sort of further complicate the search to find him, or is time on investigators' side in this case? I know that time is not on your side when you're searching for someone who may be in danger, but when you're searching for someone who's trying to hide from law enforcement, is time on your side?
It is not, because if you just look at the typical mathematical calculation of rate times time equals distance, he's been gone for 8 days. If he was only walking for 1 mile per hour for 8 hours for each of those days, he could be 64 miles in any one direction. And that equates to about a 12,288 square mile search area just today. And tomorrow it'll get larger.
Oh, that is not good news. So Chris, what does Laundrie's behavior in those days before he went into hiding tell you? I mean, reportedly he was acting very normal. And when you watch the body cam footage, what did you make of his, appearance and his explanations to law enforcement when he and Petito were detained for that domestic violence call?
So not the officer on the scene, but certainly it looked like they were like any couple having some issues, and that they were very frustrated with each other. I don't know if that would have anything to do with what his capability or skills in the outdoors are, or what that would imply to his current actions in the woods. But certainly they were having some sort of an issue there that required law enforcement.
And what about his behavior when he returned home to Florida? It certainly was unusual for him to not say anything to Petito's family that he had returned, and it was unusual to not answer any questions from law enforcement. What does all of that indicate to you?
Sure. So I think that in many cases we expect a loved one or someone that cares about someone else to assist and bring forward all the information that they have. In some cases, they fear that law enforcement will suspect them, but by bringing forward all their information, that can help clear them as well. But the law enforcement, you certainly expect that friends and family will assist in finding a loved one.
All right. Well, Christopher Boyer, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your insight.
Thank you, Tanya.